Okay, I'm back in the studio, back in my setup. So, welcome. This is, I think, day 76. I hope I get these numbers right. I've been kind of lagging behind 1 or 2 days. Today, I'm thinking about actually pricing and selling services. This has been a big sticking point in this whole journey of putting together a business. A business is meant to sell things. So, how is it that it's so difficult? And you know what? I, at this moment, don't understand really what that particular route is. And maybe as I go through this, I'll come to that realization. All of these things that I want to do, I have learned all of these skills. I've put together this understanding of how to best work and help other people get through blocks, get through things that they get stuck on. And it's really quite magical, like this is something that I've worked on for a long time. When I was younger, there was a lot of books that I had read through, like, the usual like bestsellers. I remember, what are a couple of really impactful books? 4 Hour Body is one of them that really came up. I had struggled for a long time with my weight and body image. And when I came across the 4 Hour Body, the approach there for changing like the diet there, that it was the slow carb diet, was something that felt manageable and felt doable. So I was able to engage in that. I kind of like moved through a number of different kind of like self-help type of things. I was reading stuff. I got into Malcolm Gladwell's podcast, and that really kind of opened my eyes on kind of like different perspectives and just understanding how like perception is not always reality. There was one podcast episode on his podcast, Revisionist History, where he was talking about people driving on highways and just like feeling like their brakes were not working and they were just continuing to accelerate. You can go back and listen to the podcast. They'll explain it much better than I did. But basically the gist of it was there wasn't anything that they could find wrong with the cars that would cause it to accelerate nonstop. After the fact, the brakes seemed to work and all of these things. And the only seemingly logical conclusion was that in the moment of panic, where you think that your brakes are not working, I guess the person was just stepping on the gas over and over again, thinking that it was the brakes. And it kind of makes me think of like, sometimes, I don't know if you've had the experience where you're sitting in a car and you pull into a spot and you just park, and then right away the car beside you starts to move backwards. And then you're like, oh, why am I moving? So it's like that idea that perception is reality. And getting to that realization has taken time. Through hypnosis, that blew the door wide open to understand like context and perspective, and then the way that our unconscious minds work, right? And all of these constructs are really to help us understand, because what I find now is that, especially as I follow more people and listen to different voices on TikTok, there's so many perspectives that are kind of like coming and wrapping around the same kinds of ideas. So what does all of this mean? I think that for me, when I think about pricing, first, I think at the root of it is the feeling that I'm not enough, that maybe I'm not as good as the other person, or like, what is my place to go ahead and charge for some kind of service? Like, who would want to pay? I'm starting to realize that I have value. I mean, I know I have value. I know that I can do good work. I know that I've had wonderful results with so many people that I've worked with. And I guess it's still hard for me to understand the value of it, because it just seems like a very natural and normal thing for me to kind of sit there and listen and be an open, safe space, and just to explore, because the work is as simple as just listening, reflecting back, and then just helping others see things that they're not seeing. I guess holding space can be difficult, especially depending on the content of it. But the wonderful thing with hypnosis is when you're facing the problems that you think are so big, it turns out that that big thing that you're seeing is just that proverbial tip of the iceberg. And when you can look past that and shift the foundations of what is actually holding up your problem, it pretty much disappears. So when I'm in that space, it feels easy for me. And I think that understanding what I don't have insight on is how other people perceive me. It's interesting because when I learned about the human design projector type, which is the type that I find myself as in this human incarnation, the idea of a projector is that our energies are focused and penetrating. So that's part of where my ease of observation comes in. But the other thing is the name projector comes from the idea that there are projections put upon us and we're perceived maybe not exactly as we actually feel that we are. And for me, I find sometimes I have difficulty seeing myself for who I am. So all of that is to say, to step out and say like my service cost or I'm charging X dollars for whatever service feels odd. The other part of it is the 5 line in my human design, the heretic line, is kind of meant to do things differently. It's almost like when there's like the right way to do things or the established way to do things, I almost have like a knee-jerk reaction of like feeling like, I don't want to. It's kind of like, you know, you build furniture without looking at the instructions. Over time, you may find that I will save time if I follow these instructions because things were meant to be done in a certain way. For something like this, like building a business, like entrepreneurship, like just figuring myself out, this is literally for me to make up. So then why not do something different? And that's kind of what I've landed on today. I like the idea of value for value and thinking about money as one form of exchange for value. There are other things that are valuable in our experience: time, attention, time and attention, relationships, appreciation, gratitudes, words of appreciation. And I was thinking of a way of capturing all of that. I'm in a space where I want to help as many people as possible. And I know that there are different levels of ability to pay in terms of a monetary sense. And I think that shouldn't be a barrier for somebody who is really struggling, who feels like they just need that extra little step. Sometimes it's just that one little step. It's like if you had a huge boulder, you only need a little stick to keep it from rolling. But if you can remove that one stick, it might be able to roll down the hill all on its own as it builds momentum. And that's what I would love to see. I believe, like my theory, my hypothesis is that a small action, a small change, in the right change can make a huge difference. And that's where this pricing model has come from. And at the same time, it's like a little bit complicated to explain. At the core of it, it's like a pay what you can or pay what you want model. And there's kind of different tiers of it, right? So the first one is just like a sliding scale. Like literally for any of my services that I offer on my website, it's pay what you want. I think I set the minimum at like $11. So if you want a human design report, that's one place to start. And you can pay like, you know, make the amount as much as you want. Like if you're looking for a focus session, if you want to have a hypnosis session to actually move past a specific block, there's that cost. The other piece of it is then the second option is a pay it forward model where like there's a base cost and you can choose how many of these services that you want to pay forward. So if you have the means to afford like a human design reading or a coaching session for $300, $400, $500, $600, whatever it is, because there are people out there that charge that much and more. If you have the means for that, then pay it forward. I will donate the session to you. I will give you the session. I will do the best work that I can for you and get you those results. And you can pay it forward so somebody else can benefit from that as well. The third one is a bubble tea fund. It's kind of like buy me a coffee. You know, like if you really don't have the means and you think that you can benefit from this and you will actually engage in the material, I don't need any more than money for a bubble tea. That would be wonderful. So it's kind of like buy me coffee, we'll sit down and have a coffee chat. But the coffee chat will be focused on getting you the results that you want. And then finally, the last one is a visibility exchange. And that one is more like a pure energetic exchange. There's no cost. There's nothing that I want from you other than if you find that this session is beneficial, or you find that the human design report is beneficial, or you find that a human design reading impacts your life in some way, just put it out there into space and just say how you felt. It could be a testimonial, words of appreciation sent to me. You could just follow some of my accounts, right? Like help me get my message out there. And that would mean the world to me as well. So these 4 buckets, the intention behind it is to make this as accessible as possible. And it's really to put this work and have this work impact the people that really will engage in it and benefit from it. Human design report is useless if you don't engage with the information. So the human design report that I will send you will have all the information that you need to self-reflect, to understand who you are meant to be in this lifetime and what your ideal mode of operation is. And I'll give you a video as well along with that so that you can follow along and just kind of understand how to use it. Some people read it front to back. Those of us that have a one line like me, you probably just want to read a lot of information, at least to get a start. But ultimately, it's about being practical and making it real. Human design reflection, like a chart reflection, is my interpretation and my reflection of you based on your human design back to you. And I find that this exercise is just so much fun, and it always like opens my eyes so wide, because when I can share that information with someone and then ask them, does it land? Like, how does that connect with you? It's always been like, this is so accurate. Like, what is this? That's how exactly I felt when I first got my human design chart read. And then the focus session finally is like just there to help you actually move past blocks, right? So the intention is like, I want to put this information and I want to put this service, these offerings out in front of people and into the hands of people who will actually use them. So for those of you that are out there really looking for a solution and you're stuck and you've tried everything, I'm not here to promise you miracles. And at the same time, miracles happen. And because life is magic, our world is full of magic. Like this wall is made of like some kind of drywall or plaster. Like, how is it coming together? It's holding up a structure, right? And then there's like the beams and all of these things that are coming together. Isn't that pretty magical? And just think about how I'm coming to you now. Like I am talking into space, into this little thing that has I shut my eye and then look through. I don't know why, but it's like, it's recording this thing and then it's shooting it out into the internet, into the world. And then now it's like, you know, on 15 screens across the world. Isn't that magical? It's like that Instagram post, that meme where it's like, people believe in Wi-Fi, but they don't believe in X, Y, or Z, all those other things. So really all of that is to say that if this is something that resonates with you, if this is something that you've been struggling with, then look in the comments down below or the description down below and go to the link there. All of the information is there. All you need to start, you actually don't need any more than the top part of that to understand your chart, to know what your type, strategy, authority is, and then your signature and your not self. The Get Chart website down below will have all of that information, and I'll just lay out exactly how I use it and how I teach my clients, my friends, my colleagues how to use it as well. Because that's basically the fractal, that's the pattern. You rinse and repeat that over and over again. And what you'll find is you begin making better decisions, you begin making better choices, and then your life starts to come into line. Does it mean that your life is going to be perfect and it's always just going to be up? No, our lives are always up and down, up and down, up and down. But remember, it's just like the stock market, right? It's always constantly going to be going up overall on a trend, but there's ups and downs as we go through. Sometimes the downs are lower, but then of course the ups are going to go much higher. If anything, if you are struggling right now, you're feeling really low, I will let you know that life works and moves in a cyclical fashion. What I have found out, and this gets me through my hardest times, is that when I am feeling and experiencing a low, I know that on the other side of it is an upswing. So that's my message to you for today. This is the pricing model. I'm here to put it out into space, to share it out into the world. So if this is something that resonates with you, please check out down below. And if this message, if you're interested in this, I would love to just even hear from you, because I'm a huge fan of shouting into the void, and sometimes I do wish that the void will shout back. So thank you for being here with me today. My name is John. I am the Haizhen Resonance. I will see you. Thanks for your cooperation.